I'm ready.
Okay, I'm here with India Bradley, an up-and-coming core member. Welcome to my talk show.
Thanks, Megan. I'm so honored. I'm so honored.
Or annoyed.
Or annoyed. I don't know which one yet. I'll decide.
Okay, you can decide at the end. Let's let everybody know like the age difference between us because you're pretty new in the company and I'm pretty not new. So
But here's the thing. I didn't know there was that much of an age dip. It's obviously a thing that we know in the company, but we don't really talk about it. It's not really that much of, it's not a problem in any way. So we don't really discuss it that much, I guess.
yeah,
But I've always known that we were that separate in
Yeah.
generation.
yeah.
But I'm 21.
You're
This
21.
is my second year in the Corps.
And do you
And
remember how old I am?
You are 36. 34.
Almost 36. Very good.
Almost 36. Okay.
I still have a month.
Okay. I knew, because you're a Gemini, I knew that.
Yes. And we're both
Horoscopes.
these social butterflies that
Yeah.
we've found each other from afar.
We were both screaming on two ends of the room. We were like, oh my gosh, we're so similar.
Oh, and I should preface that we have some audio problems later on in this interview, so there might be maybe like a costume change midway. Don't be alarmed.
Don't worry about it. And a theme change, don't be alarmed.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm still the same.
Yeah.
The same me.
Everything's good. So our apologies. So how did you get into ballet?
Great question. I think like a lot of ballet dancers start off doing everything, every genre of dancing, which is exactly what I was doing. And it was really because my mom who used to be a dancer in Albanelli for about almost 10 years at some point. We were in Michigan, which is where I'm from, and she would get offered to teach master classes here and there at little small places in Michigan. And she would take me with her when I was like in diapers. And the reason why she really put me into dance classes is specifically because of this one story where she was teaching a class and there was this outdoor area behind the studio, and they found me in the middle of her class that she was teaching. It was like a trail of my clothes. I had taken off my shirt and my little pants, and then my diaper was off, and like maybe my little socks. And she was like, "Where is India?" And they followed this trail, and I was completely butt naked, dancing all by myself. And my mom probably looked at me and was like, "You need something to do."
Yeah.
And like, you obviously want to dance, so I'm just gonna put you in some dance classes. And that's kind of how it started. And I really started with like tap and like jazz, all those kinds of genres, hip hop, African dancing, like and some ballet. And then I think, for some reason ballet just stuck more than the other ones, which is, I think, also a lot of times how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about my life. Okay. Yeah, I was doing a bunch of different kind of genres of dances, and my mom was like hearing things from her old dancers, friends, not old, sorry mom, but like friends that used to be dancers or whatever. And they were like, she has such a ballet body, she should focus on ballet. And I think they just said that because I was like bones at the time when I was like 5. And so I was like, sure, why not? And I was not good. I was not some kind of prodigy or anything. It took a lot.
But so they kind of like pushed you in the ballet direction. Did you enjoy that? Because it's not for every 5-year-old.
I didn't even think twice about it. Like, I must have been like, yeah, I'm cool with this, because I was like, I don't remember like really complaining. And when you're doing ballet at 5, it's not like some crazy like.
You're running around like a fairy.
Yeah, it was like literally running around and jumping over dance bags with like my old teacher, Miss Sue. Like, it was a very chill thing. And then I think when I was like, when I got older and I was like starting point and stuff, maybe like I think I was teen, and I remember getting really stressed out about my first recital because it was on point, and everybody was like, "You guys, if one person falls, then we'll all just fall." And like, we were really nervous, and I was like, "Okay, that was like my first experience
Wait,
being
they
like."
said if one person falls, you should all fall?
Yeah, we just agreed that if one person fell, we would all fall.
Like, what are you falling from?
I don't know, like fifth position, Susu. Like we were beginner. It was so scary. We were so nervous, and it was the most basic ballet step you could even imagine. Like, and oh my god, it was not good. But none of us fell, and it was really good. And I wouldn't say really good, but it was like successful. And then I was like, I did it, and I was like, oh my god, I want to do ballet. Like, I love ballet.
And what age was that at?
What?
Like 10? Were you 10 or 11?
I was probably 11 by the time that recital was happening, and I was like, yeah, ballet is my life, and blah, blah, blah.
So up until then, you were doing, like, tap and jazz.
And then I kind of, like, gave all that away, and I was like, just ballet. And then I was doing other things. I was doing, like, gymnastics and cheerleading and piano practice, and my mom was like, you need to choose, like, now.
I'm curious how many siblings you have.
I have an older sister. We never talked about this. I have an older sister.
Possibly.
She's 30.
Oh, we did talk about this.
Yeah, she's 32. And she moved to LA, like, right out of college. She didn't even come home because she was like, I want to live in LA and be a writer and an actress and blah, 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 blah. And now she's, like, doing really well. She loves to write. We have different fathers, and her father was a playwright, and he like wrote some plays for Broadway and that. So yeah, she just like got it in her blood, and she loves it, and she writes really great.
She never danced.
Thing. She might beg to differ, but she was not a dancer. And then I have two younger brothers, 16 and 17. Yeah, 17, maybe 17, and 14, and they don't dance either.
Are they quarantined with you right now?
Yes, they are.
What a precious time.
We'll just say yes, they are. That's it. They're not dancers. So one plays football, one just lives a 14-year-old life. I have no idea. Like, extracurriculars, I don't know. I don't remember that stuff.
Gosh, so you were doing so much.
Oh my god, I was doing so much, and my parents were exhausted, and they were like, you need to choose, like, one or two things.
This is what I kind of can't understand now, having my own kid. I'm like, wait, and then someday after school, you have to take them somewhere? And, like, or if you're like you take them, like, to 10 different places, and I still haven't figured out how that fits into
I don't know.
life.
I'm not a mom. I can't really give you any advice. Because honestly, I really don't know how my mom did it.
Yeah.
It was just so much.
I did a lot of carpooling to dance.
Yeah, that happened too. But I went to school in Detroit, and I went to ballet in the suburbs, and they were really far apart, and nobody at my school did ballet at the same place as me, or did ballet in general, really. So that was difficult, but sometimes I remember carpooling from home from the studio to home. But for the most part, I was just like, my mom was doing everything, yeah. And that's just what it was. And then I went to a really strict Russian ballet school when I was like 12 or something. And I loved it, actually. Really? It was a very good experience. I cried after the placement class, and then I went back. So I loved it. And I had a really great teacher, Sergey.
Awesome.
Okay.
And when did you get into the SAB balancing kind of like track of things? What was your first experience with balancing technique?
I'd probably say because I went to Dance Theater of Harlem after I left that Russian studio. I went to a few of their summers, and they were like, come for the year. And my mom and I moved to New York, and so I went to DTH for a year. And
I had no idea.
You didn't know that?
No.
And my teacher, Andrea Long, was in City Ballet.
Oh, yes. I knew you guys
and that's
were
where
connected.
I met her. Yeah.
Okay.
And I met her there, and she was the first person to be like, you should audition for SAB. And I was like, what's SAB?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then the story's over. But she was probably the first person to give me like some sort of maybe like Balanchine inspired combination in ballet class or something like that. Because she knew that I was going for the summer, and she wanted to prepare me.
So, your mom, did she move with your brothers to New York too?
No, just my brothers were here with my dad.
Oh, wow.
My sister was long gone, obviously, but my brothers were here with my dad.
I'm amazed by families that do that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Especially when there's other siblings.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Like, it was just, I just remember it being a lot of traveling around. And
did that put a lot
my mom just being like, I'm just going to do what you need to do.
That's amazing. Well, and also she understood the passion.
And she understood. That's I think so much of that came from her being like, I just get it.
Yeah.
It's a blessing to have a parent who understands it in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But it could also probably be a curse if they're too involved.
But that's why I feel very blessed that for whatever reason, she was at Alvin Ailey, and for some reason I was like, I love ballet. That might have even been it. I was probably like, I want nothing to do with, like, specifically your side of it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, like, find my own independent lane.
Totally.
But still in the same category. And that helped a lot because she could give me the advice that I needed, but she didn't want to intrude too much because she knew that it wasn't really her lane.
Territory. And she doesn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she just let my teachers do what my teachers needed to do. And that's something I loved about that dynamic.
That is great. How did your mom find her way to Alvin Ailey? Like, where did she grow up, and how did she make it out to New York?
Yeah, that's an interesting. My mom grew up here, and her first job ever was when she was like 14 or something, like really young, at Interlocking.
Oh, I know Interlocking.
Upstate, yeah, but it was so long ago. Interlocking wasn't even a year-long school; it was just a summer camp, and they would hire kids, like certain kids, to come and like do, I don't know, performances or something. I'm not really sure, but it was like a job, and she always says it was like her first job that she ever had, and she was so young. And then she graduated high school like super young, like 16 or something, and she said right after that she was like, I'm going to New York, and I think maybe she like saved up money or something. Maybe I should ask her questions about her life, but I'm pretty sure she told me like she saved up her money and she moved to New York, and maybe, I hope I'm not making this up, but moved in with a friend that she already knew, and auditioned for Ailey, and she got into Ailey 2 when she was like 17, and then from Ailey 2 she went to Ailey 1, and that was it.
And how many years did she dance with the company?
I think it was 8. No, wrong. Mom, she's gonna watch this too. She's gonna watch this and be like, wrong.
We can like put disclaimers at the end, like little.
I know. I'll ask her. You can edit them in.
Yeah, I can edit. I'll just dub over your voice. It'll be like 9.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be like,
that's amazing. See, my mom like has no idea about anything about ballet. She does now.
Oh, you told me that before.
Yeah. Both my parents.
So how did that happen?
My mom always appreciated musicals and tap dancing.
Okay, I can see that.
So
then you and Robbie, though, both of you ended up like.
Well,
wait, who's older, you or Robbie?
Thanks
Oh, you're
for,
older than
thanks for
Robbie?
not knowing. I'm 3 years older.
I didn't know. Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say it yet, but he has more gray than me, so I'm gonna knock on wood. No.
I said it.
Just
I mean,
recently,
she said it.
I've been able to pass as a younger sibling, but it might just because I'm short. I
You
feel like
know, you have that face that is like, is she 19 or is she 30? I can't really tell. It's just like such a baby face.
Yeah. I should show you some pictures of when I was your age.
I've seen
all
pictures.
cheeks.
No, you look the exact same. Your face and everything is like the exact same. Like old, like I don't know, like old like Copalia pictures or something. I feel like I've
That
seen
might
and
be creepy to you guys.
But I'll look at some old pictures from Copalia and I'm like, wait, was I in it that time or is this from like 2005? I can't really tell. Like I really can't tell. It's crazy.
That's hysterical.
It's true.
That's hysterical. Okay, wait. Oh, so we're talking about my parents.
Your mom, yeah.
My mom.
My mom Robbie
actually was in remedial PE because she was so uncoordinated. Like it's for like non-coordinated people.
So literally like
people that were not skilled at athletics. That's where my mom.
And they go, and what do they do? Like,
well, they probably work on the basics, like walking straight. I don't know. I really have no idea. Like, there would be no remedial PE now, right?
It's like physical therapy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have no idea what they worked on.
You said there wouldn't be remedial PE right now. I mean, there's still uncoordinated people.
Yeah, but they wouldn't want to single anybody out.
I guess you could just look up a tutorial on YouTube.
No, now everybody gets a participation ribbon. You know.
That's nice. Aw, well, your mom is so cute. So then she was just like, you were just, did you go to her?
I think she appreciated it, and her family always watched like all the MGM classics and like grew up with like Singing in the Rain and all of those movies. And then my mom took me to a tap class when I was 4, and then so it kind of started with tap, but then you take it all, right? Tap, jazz, ballet, and like any time we always had a subscription to the musicals that came into town. Like we weren't going.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, we weren't going and seeing ballet. We were going and seeing like I don't know, Ain't Misbehavin' and like
that's so
West Side Story. That. Actually, we have a program from one of those shows when West Side Story came to Salt Lake in Utah. And Sarah Mearns' now husband is in the program, along with other famous people on Broadway that are now.
How old were you?
I don't know, 10.
That is a really. You told Sarah that, right?
Or 12. I think I told her. I should remind her. It's pretty funny. I'm sure I told her.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So.
That is insane. You really were the matchmaker without even knowing it.
That's true.
Honestly, you brought the spirit together.
I don't think so.
Let's leave it to you.
But
wow,
anyway,
that's
somehow my parents made 2 dancers. I don't know how, but I wonder how. I mean, I've always been curious how would it be to have anybody in your family that like really knew the biz? Because for me, my saving grace has always been my mom has no idea. I don't feel any pressure to achieve anything in this because she has no clue. So that was kind of like always this like free pass and she, you know, she wanted us to do well and she was into like committing to what you're doing, but she was like, if you ever want to come back home, if this ever isn't for you, you can always change your mind.
Wow. You were probably like, oh my God, why would you say that?
No, well, yeah, she's reminded me I never had to like drag you to a ballet class. You never not wanted to go. You were always wanting to go to dance. So that was never the thing, but she always gave me the option. And I've seen other people who had parents that weren't even dancers, but their parents were very much wanting the dream to happen for their kid. Which there's a lot of people.
You got really lucky because, yeah, I've seen that too.
That and pressure, it
never ends well.
It doesn't end well.
Never, ever ends well. That's really lucky that your mom was that type of person. And I also think that that's good for the type of person you are, because I feel like that fuels your flame to be like, oh my God, I'm going. No, I'm definitely going. Because if she had been like, ah, you would have been like, oh God. And then like for her to say that, I feel like you're like, oh my God, I
It
just
does.
had
It gives
I
you
just needed a moment.
gives you
I'm
great freedom, but
going.
I'm was it overwhelming that your mom moved out for you to go to New York? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I didn't even think of it as
Well, now
like,
you're stressed out.
I know, I'm like, ugh. I didn't even think of it as
No pressure.
being an overwhelming, like, yeah, I didn't feel any pressure from her because I knew that I wanted to do that. Like, if anything, I should have been grateful in my eyes that
But
she
you don't,
would do
when
that.
you're a student, like that's the thing is that we all come out here and we have no idea what it's gonna translate into.
Uh-huh.
And so like your
And
mom, like when a mom uproots themselves and like the whole family moves. There's some people at SAB right now, like their whole family has moved out
yeah,
for
that
them, or even
happens
some young
a
people in
lot.
the companies that just got in, and that's like crazy.
It's crazy, but I think she was just like, I think she just had a lot of faith in me
Uh huh.
for whatever reason. I really don't know why, because I feel like I've always been like, I don't know, yeah, I'm just having a good time, like
That's the
kind of
best way to
personality.
succeed, though. You have to like always be enjoying the process.
Yeah, that's true. But I never felt like it was her being like, go do this. Like, I feel like I was like, Mom, can I please go? Like, I really
Uh huh.
need to, this is like what I need to do. And
Yeah.
like, I just need to do it. And whether or not you come, I'm just probably going to do it. And she would be like, well, I'm coming. And that's just like what it was. What were we talking about before?
We got you to New York, and we talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
having a mom that was a dancer, but now we're at SAB.
SAB.
So
Yeah.
what was that like for you? What high school did you go to? How did you work out high school in SAB? What was the dynamic? Did you still live with your mom then? So you didn't live in the dorms ever?
No, so when I got into winter term, they gave me a dorm spot because my mom was like, well, I think I really wanted to live in the dorms, and she was like, I can go home, I can
That's
do
true.
whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what happened. I moved into the dorms, and she went home. And that was fall of 2014. And
Yesterday.
I just feel like you're gonna laugh because I'm saying these dates, and you're like, that was that
I know, it's
debut of blah
literally
blah blah.
so crazy. Okay, just keep talking.
I knew that was gonna happen, and I I I think I wanted to go to normal school because I loved school growing up. Like I have so many great memories from school,
Yeah.
but I remember being like, I'm not gonna want to wake up that early to go to school. And my mom was like, okay, fine. And so I ended up doing like online classes,
Oh, okay.
like a correspondence like
You have to be pretty
situation.
disciplined to get that done on your own.
And I wasn't.
How did that
I
work out?
wasn't. But the good thing about my program was that I didn't have any due dates until the year was over.
But that's
Which
almost
honestly,
worse.
it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, that's harder.
But the thing is, or maybe it wasn't until the year was over. Maybe it was like per semester, I think.
Uh-huh.
Because I would go weeks without without even opening a book, like weeks. And when you first move into the dorms, you're so
You're
they're just
distracted.
so distracted.
Wait, do you want to hear what happened?
And I am social, social.
I know you are.
I spent time in every single suite. I'm not kidding. Me and Kennard would go into every single suite in the entire dormitory, and make friends with people. We would, honestly, I don't even remember certain people's names and anymore. And we would just be and we would just hang out. for like an hour.
So would you knock, or you just be like, "Hey guys, I'm coming
No,
in
we'd
your
just walk
suite"?
in. We'd be like, "Hello, blah blah." And honestly, and that's really
That'd be
how
like
I feel
some
like I
people's
made.
nightmare.
That's how I made so many friends. I also maybe could have been extremely annoying, but we will never know. Oh well. Oh God. But that's literally what we did,
You guys are fun.
and that's just like what life was for like the first couple of months, and then I was like, oh shoot, school, and I cracked open a book and I did like 3 months worth of work in like a week, and I was like, all right, and then
High
I was
quality.
just like, yeah,
No, right
like,
at you.
and all the tests were like open books, so I was like, yeah, okay, it was like, I don't want to say it was easy. I do feel like I learned something, but I kept some of my books because I liked them that much.
That's good.
Like my literature books and stuff. Yeah.
I got so distracted with the social aspect of the dorms when I moved in that by the time it got to like the Thanksgiving break, it was like a week before. So what is that? Like sometime in November.
Yeah.
I was so exhausted from dance and school and like socializing because you're like living a college life. Like your friends are with you 24/7. How do you decide? Okay, bye. I'm going to bed. We're not talking anymore. It's just like a constant slumber party.
All the time.
By the time I got to the week before Thanksgiving, I was so exhausted. There was this one random day I cried for 3 straight hours in my dorm room just from exhaustion, and my roommate had to go get like the head of the dorms, and they decided to send me home a week early. So I had a whole extra week of Thanksgiving break because I was so exhausted because I was having so much fun. I mean, I wasn't like staying up late or anything crazy. It was just like,
no, I mean, you have a room curfew anyway, so like you end up going to bed, but the entire day, it's like from like I don't know 8 a.m. Like people were coming in and out of rooms like as soon as the crack of dawn like came, and like that's just what it was. And Emma and I always joke about because we never lived in the same suite, but the suite that she lived in, I was friends with so many people in that suite, and I would spend the night, like, because you could spend the night on the weekends in a different suite, and I would spend the night every single weekend in their suite, and she would be like, wait, India, and she was always like, wait, you didn't live with me in the dorms? And I'm like, no, I was just always there. It's an exhausting experience for a social person, honestly.
Exactly.
It's just so much fun.
It is fun.
It's
well, and like when you get into that environment, I remember my first summer course being like, these are my people.
Yes. And you just click, and it's just no going back, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, it's totally true.
The craziest experience.
And then how fun that we're in a company where, like, the generation you're in the school with just translates into the company. Yeah, it just shifts. Like,
and especially, I don't know about your year, but like I said, my year, I mean, I got in with like 6 of some of my like closest friends, and then other people just became my closest friends because we were all in the same class, and we were like, we're gonna be apprentices, and like that's when, and we started finding out we were gonna get our apprenticeships like so early in the year that it was just like such a bonding thing for that group of people. And then when we got in, it was just like nothing really changed.
I got in with a lot of people. Like it was a group of 6 or 8 people, and there's only one other person left now.
Who?
Guess. This will be fun. Should I give you like a rank so that you?
Yeah.
Soloist.
Okay, wait. Give me 1 second. Oh, God, that's so hard. I can't even... Ashley Laracy?
No, but close. That's close. She actually got in after
Erica? No. I don't even know.
Megan LaCrone.
Never would have guessed.
Right?
I never would have guessed that. What?
Yeah.
I didn't even... Age is so, like, blurry in the company. I wouldn't even know. I had no... Oh, my God. But so what? You said close to Ashley Laracy. Was she, like, before you or after you?
She was after me.
She must have been after you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even, that's so funny. Oh, I was just talking to her recently. She's doing well.
We're going to do an interview too. So
That's going to be good.
Yeah, from the Bahamas.
Okay. Are you going to do a double one with her and Harrison or just her?
I think just her.
Okay, that's going to be good.
She has a really interesting story.
She has such good things to say. She gives me really good advice.
She's
like,
really been through a lot, like with injuries and stuff. She's really persevered.
Yeah.
You know, when other people might be like, okay, this is insane, I'm done, you know?
Yeah. She's been really helpful. She's one of the people, like, I remember getting in the company and being like, I might stay away from her for a little. She seems extremely, extremely intimidating. I'm just going to do my thing on the left side while she does it on the right kind of situation. You were not that kind of person. You were like, ah! And I was like, ah!
That is true.
And even though you did push me on my very first day of class, wait, I'll get back to that story. But Megan the Crone was always that person I was like, but like in the past, like, I mean, probably once I got into the core, she was like, she's such a good person to like listen to.
Yeah,
sometimes.
She does have good things to say. Okay, let's go back to when I pushed you.
Oh my gosh, I told you the story before, actually. It was my very, 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 very first class in the company ever.
What did I do? Were you in my way?
Yeah. And we were doing this combination. It wasn't a mean push. We were doing this combination coming forward.
And you didn't travel forward?
It was like something, and then like in with a double pirouette, and my one to the left was a little on the back side.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and I kind of did a step together back and fit, and you were like, and then you just and I remember being like, and I was like,
I'm sorry.
and then you came back, like, I think 2 days later, and you were like, sorry about the other day, I pushed you. I don't know, I was running out of room. It's tight in here. There's 100 people in here.
This is the thing, you realize in that first company class, there is no room.
Oh, there's no space.
And you eventually, after all of the ancient years that I've been in the company, you just kind of get used to, like, bopping on people.
Yeah. That is, like, one of the reasons why I love company class, for that reason.
Because of all the people?
Yeah, oh my god. It's a social butterfly's dream,
I know,
honestly.
Me too.
It's great. Okay, you are one of those principals that, like, thrives in ballet class, and I get it, because, I mean, when you rehearse alone so much, you don't really see anyone else.
No, it's my only time to really bond with you guys, unless it's like the one complete that we do together before performance.
Exactly. The one.
Right?
Yeah. So I get it. I do understand. Since I've been here longer, I get why it is something to enjoy.
Yeah. What besides me pushing you out of my way was something that was shocking when you first like entered, or did you just adjust? I mean, you're a very like well-adjusted human being.
Okay, this is what I was gonna say earlier. Is that an interesting thing I think about myself is that people do think that I'm like extremely comfortable in like a situation, like more than I actually am.
Right.
And it's just like, maybe I don't have a lot of like tension in my face or something. I don't know. Like, I just don't hold it on the outside very much. And I don't think I spent like my first year in the company like a nervous wreck at all. But I do think that there were so many times where I was like, just like in my head about everything, like everybody is most of the time, honestly, but even more so when you're really new, and just like comparing yourself to other people, and like I mean, I remember doing certain rehearsals when I first got in the company with Rosemary and like crying on my way home and being like, I'm not cut out for this job. I can't do it. I was just like, I
What
can't.
ballet was it?
Swan Lake,
Uh-huh.
Peters,
Uh-huh.
because it's difficult for the core.
Yeah.
When you rehearse it, especially because Rosemary is just, she wants what she wants, and
Yeah.
it's just. So there was Swan Lake was the first thing I ever did in the company. It was the first thing we rehearsed. It was fall season, and it was 2 weeks of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a full 14 days of Swan Lake. So my toes were like
dying,
bruised, and my calves were shot. It was like the most I had been in pointe shoes ever throughout a day ever in my life. And then after we would have like a 2-hour, 3-hour Swan Lake rehearsal, we would have like 3 hours of understudying because that's just like being an apprentice. And I remember being like, I'm not cut out for this. And then I did, and I was like, I can do it. And then it was like Nutcracker time, and I was both casts of Snow because that's what you are when you're a shorter girl. And I was like, I can't do this. I vividly remember after my first Snow rehearsal for Nutcracker, I was like, probably just need to like think over everything and like really think about if I'm capable of doing this, because I wanted to do it, but I was like, I don't think I have what everyone else has, like the willpower or something. I was like, I'm missing something. And then I realized,
like in your head, you're like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah, I was like, am
I still having fun?
I know, I was like, is this like I'm choosing to be going through this right now? Why am I doing that? It really makes you think. And I think once you get past that, you realize how much you do want to do it.
That's interesting. I never gave myself that option.
Really?
Ever.
But that's just who you are, though. Like, in general.
I'm a determined person.
As a person.
I think I feel like nervous. Like, if I ever even gave myself that option, I wouldn't accomplish anything. So it's like, I don't know.
I wish.
I mean, I dance because I love it. And if I was not enjoying it, I would not be doing it anymore. But I must have not. Maybe I enjoyed the pain of that first Snow rehearsal.
Maybe did. I mean, I wish for any apprentice to never feel the way that I felt in those like darkest times. But at the same time, it was like a bit of a silver lining. Like I needed that to
move forward and push yourself.
To move on. Yeah. And now Nutcracker, it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, right.
And also I have half the amount of Snows to do now, but that's still,
but it is kind of crazy after Balanchine's Snow scene, like after you do your first rehearsal, like for me, I was always coughing or sneezing. Like it was such a full exercise of your lungs, afterwards. Right?
Yeah, if you need a good like lung cleanse or something, like just like if you just need a brand new lung, you might as well just run Snow, Balanchine Snow. It seriously, there's nothing like the first time you like do it full out for the first time of the year.
And that's true for everybody that does it. It's really true.
It doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't. It gets easier after like, you've done it 20 times in that year, but every year you start off the same way. It's crazy.
Gosh, what is it about it?
What?
What is it about it?
Because having done it now so many times, I'm like, it's not that much. Like, it's not that. It might
be like, think about like, entrecote, and then like, everything's kind of up.
Yeah.
And then the emboîtés, like, I wonder if we can never take a deep breath after a certain point.
That's the thing. I feel like if everything were down, our legs would be tired, but I don't really get body tired after Snow.
I think the breathing is going.
Breathing. Yeah.
I think that's
and for short girls, we have a lot of like, just like up jumpy entrances. It's like all you do.
Are you a short girl?
Oh, I'm short girl queen for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, but
the first and only tall girl thing I've done is third movement Bizet 4. And I was
So
like shocked
how do you
to
fit
be
in a
doing
lineup
that.
of height though? But your legs are crazy long, so maybe in my head your proportions are making me think you're taller.
Strangely, we've stood head to head before and done this measurement, I know for a fact, but strangely,
I
this
do
is a
it
good
often
example.
during the day.
Yeah, just for fun. I don't know. You're like, wait, stand next to me. For no reason. Who can I compare? Maybe like doing something next to Emma, even. Like, Emma and I aren't that different in height, which is the strangest thing, because you look at her, and I look at her, and I'm like, we are different dancers. She can do every short girl thing at the speed of lightning, and I'm like, no, I'm Maria Karowski, don't worry. I'm like, no. I'm tall. I'm so tall. Don't even worry. But I mean, the legs take over, but I think my torso really cuts me down a few inches.
It's interesting though, the way proportions are. Like, I would consider Lauren Lovett. We're the exact same height, actually. But I would consider, and my feet are bigger than hers. So when we're on point, I'm taller.
That's right. Lauren has really tiny feet.
Yeah. But I saw like a photo of her once for some type of advertisement, and she was in all this makeup and like a totally like transformed kind of image. And I was like, who's that girl? I thought, and in my head, the girl was like 5'8", and I was like, that's Lauren? Like, so proportions really go a long way.
Yeah. Oh, such a long way. But I think Rosemary stands next to me, and she's like, I know what you really are. You really can't. No.
But also, like, we should say when you're mid-range, what are you, probably 5'5"?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And that really, that has been a fun experience, because you do get to do a lot of things in that way. And I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that a lot, actually.
You're like, don't put me in a box.
Yeah. Like, I wish sometimes that I were a little bit taller or a little bit shorter, so that I could be it, so that when they look at me, or if they look at like a specific role, they can instantly like I can be a part of that instant group of people that they think of. But when you're in the middle,
but when you're one or the other, it's really hard to get out of that.
That's also true. And I feel like that's where I feel kind of lucky about the one time. And also this brings me back to that feeling of being like, I can't go on anymore, because PC2 was, Piano Concerto number 2 was like, it was my third moment of that feeling where I was like, and that didn't in rehearsals it was bad, but it was the performances where I was like, I still am struggling to get through this stamina wise.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Like that, by the end of that, it was like my lungs were shot, but my legs were shot. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to get through life. Like,
And so how have you gotten to where you are today, where this is not the thing where you're questioning, what am I doing with my life?
Honestly, from experiences where I thought that before, and then I did it and it was fine, and that has helped me. I mean, for PC2, I was like, okay, I felt the same way for Swan Lake, and I felt the same way for Snow, so I know it's gonna pass, right. And it did, and it got easier.
It's sometimes just the fear of getting tired.
Yeah, that's what it is for something like PC2, is like, in the beginning, you're like, I know I can do the steps. It's basic ballet. We do it every day. But I'm nervous because I know what this is going to feel like in 20 minutes.
Right.
And that's really, I think, what gives a lot of people that, like, dreadfulness before a ballet, before certain ballets. But I think also experience, like, you realize so many things take a toll on your body and, like, your breathing and your stamina in the company, in general. Like, so many things in our rep are like that, and you realize that's just what life is. And then eventually your body can just handle it for some.
Until we come out of this pandemic, and then we're all
and we're gonna be like
gonna be needing oxygen in between every entrance of everything.
I'm so nervous. I think about it every day when I do like 10 jumping jacks, and I'm like I'm so nervous.
We'll gradually figure it out. I think we'll be able to come together for like rehearsals long before we could come together for a show.
Oh yeah, for sure. This will be like we're finally gonna have like 3 months of rehearsal for like ballet.
That's true.
First time ever.
I always find the rehearsal period more exhausting than actually performance season.
It's so much more exhausting.
I don't know what it is. I think you push yourself harder because you don't have anything at night.
Yeah, it's true. And you're done at 7 o'clock, and you're like, why am I more tired than when I'm done at 11 p.m.?
Yeah, there's something really weird about that. It's like a slow burn all day long.
It's a slow burn. That's what I was looking for. Slow burn. The days feel longer for some reason.
Tell me about your opportunity to do the Source, the soloist girl.
Did you do that role?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It
went like once when I was maybe too young or something, and then the next time it came back, I did the principal. Like it was a really long time in between.
Yeah, it doesn't go very often.
Yeah.
So, I was shocked I was shocked for a few reasons. It's not what I would consider to be like my kind of role.
Did they audition a bunch of you for it before you?
I can give you a backstory.
Yes,
they were I think they were planning to. There was 4 of us that ended up doing it, and there was 4 of us in the rehearsals for it. So all of us ended up getting to do it. But it was Emma, Bailey, Rachel, and I. And
Emma Von Enck,
Bailey Jones,
and Rachel
and I. And we had been rehearsing it. We started rehearsing it during Nutcracker, which was, I thought, rough in general, because on top of being 5 weeks into Nutcracker, we had to rehearse that. So that was difficult to begin with. And then I ended up getting sick. I got sick twice pretty badly this year. And John asked me the other day, he was like, do you think I might have had corona? Like before
I've thought about that.
And I was like, maybe. But I got sick.
How would you have randomly got it when we were all in that theater together for so long?
I don't know, but he was just like, you were like out, like
you were
really
sick.
I was really sick, and I don't really get like sick like that. So I thought to myself, like, I could have, I don't know. But so we had been rehearsing it, and then I got really sick when we had planned to kind of like showcase it to, or like audition it to John and Rosemary. Rosemary had been rehearsing us, but basically we were showing it to John and Wendy. And I wasn't there for the like audition, and I was like, that's it. Like that was my one opportunity,
right.
My first opportunity, and it's like gone. And I think Rosemary ended up texting me, and John emailed me, and she sent me like a very Rosemary like thoughtful message being like, don't worry about it. We'll see it when you are feeling better.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and we were in the middle of winter season right away because we didn't have a break this year. And I had started rehearsing it again, and that was just it. Like, and then casting, I thought I was going to have to do like kind of like a personal audition or something, and casting came out and all of us were on casting, and I was like excited, but I was like, I kind of wish they had a scene, because I wouldn't say I was confident in the role. I didn't feel like it was.
It's a hard role.
It's
hard.
It was one of those moments.
Yeah. Okay, so the moments are continuing.
It was even more. It was one of those moments on a new level, because I was by myself in the studio.
Right.
And I was like, it's a different sort of motivation when you have no one there.
Right.
It is.
No, it's totally different.
It's tough. Like
that is the schedule of a principal or a soloist.
And it made me. I mean, I always know that you guys have
hustle,
that,
right?
Yeah, but it made me personally like look at you guys in a different way where I could personally relate. And I was like, so much respect was given because I was like, the fact that this is your life, like you're
living in this misery.
Wow. This is something I talked to Megan McCrone about a lot. She watched one of my rehearsals one time and she sent me this long text message thing and she was like, this is what life is. Like, it doesn't get...
It's true.
She was like, you get used to it and you learn how to work that way, but it doesn't necessarily get easier in that way. And it was something that I felt like Emma, Bailey, and Rachel are shorter than, even though we might not be that different in height technically, they are different dancers. We're all different dancers, but I felt like
everyone in that group is extremely different.
It's extremely different, but it was more something I felt like was for them than for me. And I was like, is John like trying to see if I'm gonna fail? Because I don't know. I was really stuck because I was like having very frustrating days where nothing would work. And it was so many things in the role were things that I considered to be more of my weaknesses than my strengths. And so,
that's hard.
It was a really, rough first like experience where you are dancing alone, I'll say, but not all in a negative way. It was like an extreme learning experience, for like who I am, but like seriously,
for what you're capable of.
Like what I'm capable of and what I'm mentally capable of, because so much of it was like I was by myself so much and I didn't have my friends anymore. And so that was like a very lonely, like a new lonely experience. And I didn't have much else that season. So I hadn't been on stage yet. Like it was such a like weird, like new thing that I was so not used to. And it was just something it was just a learning. Like I felt like I just learned so much. And I ended up having like a really good time. I had one show. I was so glad when it was over. What was funny was I would watch you do the principal and you would be like, John, I never want to do this role ever again. And I would be like, but I couldn't say it. Like you would say it and then I would be like,
I don't know what was happening with me this season, but this is probably the first ballet that I've ever been like, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore.
The principal is a lot. And I remember someone saying that it didn't even used to have a core.
Right, it didn't. Yeah, that's true.
So it was just like variation, pa, variation, pa.
It was
coda.
Yeah, pa, variation, and then like a little like 16 counts or something. And they run to the next wing and come out for the second pas de deux.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, that would be insane. If that was my scenario, I would have never been a dancer. But when I first did it, I was a lot younger, and it was like feeling like a moment maybe for you where like, oh, this is an opportunity, like, and you don't know personally if you can get it done. And in a way, when you're in that moment in your career, you're the underdog, right? And they're rooting for you. You don't think yet you can do it, but at least they've picked you with the belief that they think that you can, and that gives you a little something. And then with what you have, then you do with what you can. But when you get older, and I don't know, it was like a huge break since the last time we had done it, like almost like a decade or something.
I was going to say probably 10 years.
Yeah. I'm at a very different point in my career where I'm not willing to do it at less than a certain level.
Right.
So that is like 10 times more exhausting. It's not like I'm
right.
like, oh, I'm young and I'm just going to try my best and it is what it
right.
is. It's like, I don't want to go
you
out
just
there
set,
and be
set
embarrassed.
your own standards. Yeah,
exactly.
You set your own standards at a certain level and you want to be able to reach that. And you
well, like
are very
career
funny.
Goes in a way and you're like, well, I want to keep going like this. I don't want to have a moment that's like that.
Right, exactly. And you were like, after your rehearsals, I would just be like, me too. Like,
you should have come and joined me. We could have kind of cried together.
I would be sitting in the wings because we weren't in the same cast, but I would be sitting in the wing and I would be like,
did you see this video? There's this video of me that Emily Kikta took after. Did you see it? It was after, like I think my second variation. Oh my god, this is really funny. I could tell you this. I'll have to show it to you. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna put it on social media, but it is funny to tell you. I'm laying on the ground and you can hear the guy's variation going on, or no, it's the core or some. I guess it's the core after us. And I'm just going, it's not worth it. And they just don't get it. It's too hard. They just don't get it. Like talking about the audience, because you feel like after you accomplish it, they should go,
and they're
wow! And they're fine. They were great. But like the feeling that you have is not not on
but
par.
How you feel, you're like, they should be, the audience should sound like we're at an NBA game.
Literally having an India moment on the floor. It is hysterical. And then Emily, she thought that I was seeing her film. So I start to get up and she like quickly puts it away and you can hear her go, do you want some water?
Please send it to me.
I will.
Please send it to me. Oh my god. Because, I mean, the ballet in general is a really hard ballet. I think it's difficult for the core.
It is really difficult for the core.
Honestly, don't have any interest in doing the principal ever.
Either do I.
and the soloist girl was it was something I would never imagine myself being cast to do. But I was really grateful that they even thought in their minds for a second to maybe consider me for it.
And then once you do something incredibly hard, even if you're struggling with whether or not is this rewarding enough for the work I'm putting into it, you always have that now behind you to be like, well, I know I did that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of what made it even more difficult for me, because I felt like the other girls have been in the company longer than me, and they've done really hard things already, and they've done tested. And they've done roles like that before. So on top of me feeling like it was more of their kind of role, they've had more experience doing these kinds of things. They're older than me. I was doing a lot of like comparisons and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I hear you.
On top of all of that, I would
like, be doing it too. If
I don't have anything to compare this to. Like, I don't have something else behind me.
Plus, also getting just one show is a whole nother situation.
I was just like, it wasn't the most. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the most ideal situation, but I feel like that's maybe why they were like, let's just see.
Yeah. Well, also, though, for people that are watching that don't know our industry as well as we do, like, when you get one show, it puts all the pressure, and you have this one show to figure it out. Because sometimes if you have two shows, you can, okay, I'm going to go see how the first show goes, and then I can be like, oh, wow, that amount of effort there didn't work, and that was too much there, and, like, you can edit for the next time.
But I didn't have that, and I always say, like, I don't really have anything negative to say about that experience. It was just an experience. Like, I just feel like I learned so many things. I wish that I had watched more people do the role from back in the day. That's the one thing that I really, really wished about the whole thing. Like, I didn't see that Cheryl Ware had even done that role until like the day of my show, and I was like, why didn't I see this like a month ago? Yeah, I just didn't know.
You're learning. And then also sometimes you can see things and then it can kind of confuse you because you're like, wait, I don't dance like that. Because we're all so different. So it's not always easier seeing the way someone else interpreted the role. It's not always helpful to you. So you figure it out over time though, and you're in that space where everything's kind of new and hard and you're like
new and hard.
Well, and you're like, I don't know how far like my abilities will go with this. Like, it's and so they give you things and you're just supposed to like be like rising to the occasion, but like you don't know yet that you're capable.
I know. I was like, I've never done a coupe jeté manège around the stage by myself or with a group of people. I was like, what? I've never done this. But it was something. I had a really good time though, and afterwards I was just like so. Obviously, afterwards, I was like, I love ballet. There's so much to learn. After all of that, after crying, I called my mom at one point. I was like, I was sitting on the toilet with the seat down. I was fully clothed before a Nutcracker show. It was like the show had already started and I hadn't done my makeup yet. And I was in second act and I couldn't stop crying because I was so stressed out about it. I was like, then afterwards, after the show was over, I was like, I love my job. Like, I love my job. It's just what I'm born to do. God.
I love that. Oh my God. So you actually came up in my interview with Ashley Bowder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't watched your other ones yet, but I said that I was going to.
Oh, no pressure. That was not part
of
your
homework. Pressure. That was so much pressure.
No, but you came up because we started talking about, she has a whole diversity kind of campaign she's always about. But I wanted to speak to you about it because I remember one time we were in the locker room together, both accidentally missing a diversity meeting.
Me and Rachel Hutzel.
I know. And actually, we had our own little diversity meeting in the locker room.
Yes, we did. And then we all went and took SAB class or something
I found I learned more in that little meeting
than we ever would have in the one that was like 30 minutes long down
there. The big company meetings, I'm sure whatever company you're in, and probably every company in every industry right now is having meetings like these.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For the first time ever in history. It's a good thing. But.
And when it's in front of all of your coworkers, no matter who you are in the spectrum of the situation, it's an uncomfortable situation. So I really enjoyed our chit chat in the locker room. We were all able to say how we really felt, and it was like
it was really good. It was I think it lasted maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and we said everything, and some people on the other side of the locker room kind of chimed in. We were like, "Good meeting you guys. Bye."
Now we don't feel guilty for missing.
Exactly. We had our own. Yeah. I think something about those meetings, I'm so glad that we're having them, because like I said, it's the first time ever in history that ballet companies are even thinking about it in general, but openly thinking about it and trying to make it aware that they're openly thinking about it and trying to.
Yeah, it's not a secret thing. This is.
Yeah, even if they're not trying to genuinely, they're talking about it and saying that they are. Hopefully they genuinely are.
Yeah.
But something about those meetings specifically, it's kind of I don't know, talking about if you were one woman in a room full of men, or one girl in a room full of boys, and there was somebody in the front of the room talking about women's puberty, the cycle of women's puberty, or it's kind of the same feeling, because I think everyone in the company is really respectful of just who you are, and everybody is very open, and I never felt anything like that from our coworkers, but it's a very obvious thing. We're talking about Black people. There's about 10 out of like 100 of us in the room.
Right.
Maybe 7 of us showed up, maybe 5, maybe 3. And so obviously you feel, maybe even if this isn't the case, like the person in the front of the room, you for some reason feel like you guys keep making eye contact. You like look to the side and can maybe see like somebody like glance your direction, and even if they are literally not thinking about like what they're gonna have for lunch, you just like are like, okay, all eyes on me.
Yeah.
Which is the purpose of it in a way, because we want to bring awareness to it, but it can be like a...
I totally get that. Do you think there's a better way to deal with it?
I think a lot of meetings can be accomplished with one email, but that's just my opinion. Especially if it's about getting to class that I'm already always a minute before class is starting to.
Yeah, because these meetings happen before company class. Yeah.
And so I'm a 10:25, between 10:25 and 10:30 kind of girl. And
when class starts at 10:30.
Yeah, and I'm always like, listen, I know who I am. You know who I am. I'm
Talk
black.
Amongst yourselves.
Yeah, so you guys have a good time. I don't know if I'll go, but and then I don't purposely try to miss them. If I remember them, I'll go. But genuinely, we all kind of forgot that day, and so that ended up being really funny.
Well, I had a good alibi. I had daycare that didn't start until 9. Well, it started at 9:15, so I couldn't get in until like 10.
Right, because you drive in.
Yeah. But anyways, so do you think that, like, in my mind, I think I would personally benefit more from like small group discussions instead of one large thing where it's like a lecture. Like, I like the idea if we like got split up and shared personal experiences. Is that something that you would think would be a valuable thing, or do you think the way that's being dealt with in our industry, let's not just say New York City Ballet, but in our industry, do you think the way that the diversity topic is being dealt with is good?
In our industry, in the world in general, I think we're doing a lot better, obviously, than we were 30 years ago and 50 years ago and 70 years ago. I think every like year or decade or whatever, the issue of race gets a little better, even if that doesn't mean there are less racist people, but the fact that more people are aware, then that to me is it being better than it was before. And I think that the thing about the ballet world is that it's run by a lot of people who want something. If they're going to do something, they need it to benefit them and the company in return. And the thing about diversifying ballet is that that's exactly what it does. If you put a black dancer on a pedestal, it's great for them and it's great for the company at the same time.
Right.
And so that worries me sometimes, because I'm like, do you like that person as a dancer, or do you need that person for what you feel like the company...
They need to check that box.
Like? Yeah, like you need to just like check that off. Either way, honestly, it doesn't necessarily matter, because once they do that, it's kind of like, you as being that person that they put on a pedestal can take it and do whatever you want with it, and hopefully for the best. And that's all that matters, is that they give people the opportunity, whether or not they genuinely want to or not. So it doesn't matter if they don't genuinely feel that that's what they want to do. But I do think that it's getting a lot better. I think that I do think it's getting a lot better. It's obviously getting a lot better. I mean, we have things that have never happened before when it comes to race, not just about Black people and Asians and
Right.
Hispanics and Latinos and there was like a show of Nutcracker last year where like Seb and Roman and Kanan had all done principal roles in the same show, and it was like the first show at New York City Ballet where like 3 Latino, I think they
would all be grouped as.
they they grouped themselves as. I hope that's correct. If it's not, I'm really sorry. Genuine. But I think that was the first time that had ever happened where 3 Latino men had performed. And that was like a huge thing that even though nobody wrote about it in the New York Times, whatever, that's a huge thing. And it doesn't always need to be written about or like posted or like put on the news. It really should be a normal thing. I understand that
it shouldn't be
not.
that they feel they got credit for it.
Yeah,
it should
that's
just be.
where it drives me kind of like.
I hear you.
But I understand. It's like if there's a first Black Marie in the Nutcracker, you have to put it out there in a way because you want to show other little girls who couldn't come to Nutcracker that is what was happening. But hopefully, if it happens again in 3 years or next year or 5 years from now, they don't have to do that every single time. It should be like, okay, Charlotte was the first one and she did that and we are so proud of her and we wanted to broadcast it. Now it's a normal thing.
Right.
Like it's a normal thing. Like now it's normal.
Yeah.
And I just always hope that they're doing it for the right reasons. But even if they're not, then oh well. And we can do what we know is right once we're in those positions, but hopefully, I don't know.
Right.
Hopefully, it's all coming from a genuine place.
No, I definitely.
But I do think, to answer your question, basically, I do think that everything has gone a lot better. We still have so much left to do, but I mean, this is the most diverse New York City Ballet's been in the history of New York City Ballet, so
it's
I
true.
think that's something to be proud of.
It is something to be proud of. It's incredibly special. Do you think that it would be the same if Misty Copeland hadn't achieved what she had achieved? Like hers has really become a really well publicized movement.
Huge.
I mean, do you think she kicked it off and everybody's kind of going like, oh yeah.
I mean, she definitely kicked it off. Like all creds go to her.
Right.
Like I don't think that
she started a good momentum.
I don't think that companies would feel the pressure that they feel to have someone like her in a similar position if she were not around. Like creds really go to her because now it looks like ABT is more accepting than any other company, ballet company that doesn't have or has never had a Black female dancer in that position. And so now other companies, they want this same publicity as what ABT got. I mean, it's all a business, but I mean, it does. I mean, it does. It makes one company look lesser than.
Not to say, but it could even be more like just a realization of like,
and
we
maybe
should. Why haven't we been doing this?
Maybe they genuinely didn't even think of it, which is crazy that you wouldn't think to yourself, oh my gosh, there's never been like anybody out of any of the Black women that have been in the company who never promoted any of them. And maybe that made them just like think about it. Even so, she definitely put fire under so many companies and like company heads.
What I think about, besides how it has influenced the way companies behave, is how many young kids are going to now be inspired to dance that might have otherwise not felt like that was something that was on the something that was even in their line of sight.
Definitely. And I think, I mean, that's the biggest thing about the entire situation, because honestly, especially with schools like specifically SAB and JKO, just those schools being in New York, and being two huge schools in the US, who kind of like, you go through this. I mean, at ABT, I know you can come from tons of other places and be a dancer in ABT, but they also take kids from their schools. And SAB only takes kids from the school primarily, and people don't realize. I think people kind of give companies like City Ballet a hard time for that kind of like diversity issue. And I think at some point they did deserve it, but they also have to realize now, I feel like they're working pretty hard on it. And it takes so much time to change what half of the face of a company looks like. It's gonna take so much more time than right now, even, because it starts from generations and generations.
Right. I mean, like, SAB was started before New York City Ballet was even a thing. Like,
exactly, like years before. And
whoever you're grooming, you have to train them and get. So I in my mind, but correct me if I'm wrong, that there's going to be this effect that Misty's kind of, this movement and momentum that she's created. I feel like there's going to be this effect that all of these, like, Black and brown and other kinds of minorities out there are going to think, oh wow, this is something I could do too, and that might have not even ever occurred to them. It might not have been in their neighborhood or culture.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely rippling downward in a good way.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is that, like, a lot of minorities don't even have the resources to even know what ballet even is.
Right.
And
because just for everyone to know, once you do get to a more top level, there are scholarships available. So it's not like it's a financial situation once it gets to that point, but it's about even the awareness of knowing about it.
Yeah, because in certain neighborhoods, the last thing on people's minds is ballet. And like, when people are worried about, unfortunately, minorities are the people who are in certain most neighborhoods where people are more concerned about what they're going to eat than getting their kids into a ballet class that also costs $100 a week or every 2 weeks or whatever. It can be expensive, and it just isn't. It isn't always accessible, and it isn't always a known thing in neighborhoods like that, and cultures or whatever. In certain families, they just don't know about it, especially if you have normal working class people. I say normal as in people who don't know about ballet, and are in that position where they're working parents and they don't even know that that's an option for their kids. And I think Misty is a person who not only was put in that position as principal dancer, but just made it such a publicity that where, like, not many ballet dancers become big enough to be a household name.
Yeah, no,
there's only a few.
She's surpassed our industry.
It's like a bigger thing than that, where like people who have no idea has never seen a ballet knows who Misty Copeland is, and that's really, she is just a very necessary part of the entire thing.
Right.
Like, somebody like that has to happen in order for it to
evolve.
Be evolve in the right way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's a good conversation to have. Like, I didn't want to interview you for that topic, but I really was curious about it because.
What is the topic?
Because I think that it's a topic that we should be having together instead of being lectured to about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
It should be more of a conversation than, that's what I see what you mean about small groups. So you can be like, you can look each other in the face and like ask questions. And
well, because we all like each other in our company. If we
yeah.
get to discuss with each other's different experiences, then you're like, oh wow, like I never.
Which
knew
we
it was
do that on any day anyways. So
We
if it
do.
were more like that, it would probably be more beneficial.
We would be open to sharing our different perspectives and situations, and I think that's really valuable. Like, but it's not like that's what we're gonna do on our 5 in between rehearsals.
Yeah, exactly. And as loud as dancers can be, it's the craziest thing when we're in a situation like that. Nobody wants to raise their hand and ask a question in front of like the 70 people in the room, and like, you know, we just don't. It's just a very like kind of uncomfortable way to do. It's a very like corporation kind of like way to do.
Which is not how dancers are.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't work well
We're like,
under those.
This is the first meeting we've ever been in.
Exactly. Like, when do we ever sit? And everybody's like trying to stretch and sew shoes, and like it's not really going in. And then every now and again, people are like, you know, and the last time I went to a diversity meeting, there was a white woman giving it, so I just was kind of like, yeah, what's the point?
I don't know. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, but thank you so much for joining me. You're like, I've got time. We could talk for hours.
When you texted me, what's the best time to do this? I was like, are you joking? I texted her back. I was like, well, I'm really busy with breakfast and lunch and second lunch and third lunch. And then I have my nap. Then I have TV at 5. So I don't know when's going to be good.
That's life without a toddler. That sounds good.
I know. I'm like, I don't really have. You were like, okay, how about 9? Because Julie goes to sleep at 9. I was like, yeah, that's fine. No, but yeah, that was a good conversation.
It was fun, and it's just like also in this time, I'm really enjoying connecting with people and seeing their face and talking to great length. Like, it's hard to even just find your friends and chat with them for a good amount of time. So this is a fun way to do it, and it's a way to share your story with other people. And there's lots of young students out there that are like curious not how to be a principal, but they're curious how to even just get in the company and have those big opportunities, and like, what is it like? And honestly, mine was a while ago. I don't quite remember, and I just love you. So this has been a pleasure.
I love you too, Megan. And my heart goes out to all of the students that would possibly watch this, because I cannot imagine the stress of like maybe trying to find a job before all of this was happening. And like, I know a lot of kids at SAUs was like supposed to be their last year.
Yeah.
And workshop is like a big thing. And like, anybody who has had all that stuff for them put on hold, I am really sorry. And I hope it works out for you.
What I keep telling young students is that it's not like you got injured and everybody else is still carrying on doing their performance. We're all at a stop, and so we'll all then move forward together when we can. So no one's getting ahead of anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a pause that might be at a more inconvenient time for someone else when they're really hoping to go make a big transition in their life, and that's hard when a transition is put on hold. But we'll all get back to it someday, and I just hope that the industry keeps up its like spirits, and that, you know,
everyone's doing a really good job. Like, people are really active and like doing what they need to do.
Yeah,
and
we gotta stay creative.
I am not an Instagram famous person, but I do my scrolling, and it's really fun. And I will tap here and there. It's great. I love it.
Stay safe, and I'll see you someday soon. Hopefully.
Soon. We'll just say soon.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Megan, that was so fun.
Take care. Bye.